Hello.
Hey, this is Ethan.
Hey, Ethan, how are you?
Good. How are you? Yeah.
Good.
Okay. You ready to get started?
Yeah, I just have just a few minutes, so just to warn you. Sorry, I forgot how insane today was, but let's roll.
Okay. So I guess the first thing I wanted to ask you, what time did you get home on Saturday night, or I guess Sunday morning?
um, yeah, I was gonna say it's probably not appropriate to talk about it as nighttime. I didn't leave the club. I didn't leave Smart Bar until about 6 in the morning.
Oh my God.
uh,
Okay, so I guess
um,
the reason I'm asking, like, how do you recover from a night like that? I mean, that's your job, so you're doing that like not every day, but a few times a week, right?
Yeah, well, like this weekend, for example, on Friday, I had gone to New York to do a show for Calvin Klein, and that ended up being about a 16-hour day between the time that we went to the actual fashion show, and then by the time we were done at 3 in the morning, and then got up the next morning and flew back to Chicago. Went almost directly to the club and didn't leave until 6 a.m. Uh, as far as like how do you recover, I I'm a great sleeper, thank God. Um, Sunday I didn't get up until almost 1 o'clock, and then I went to lunch and then went back to sleep for most of the day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a power sleeper. I can sleep 12, 14 hours, no problem. And I very often do that. At least one day a week, I'll sleep about 12 or 14 hours.
Oh man, that must be nice. Um, so I guess I wanted to ask you a little bit about growing up. I know you grew up in Kentucky, right?
That's right. Yep, I'm born in Lexington because Jackson, where I'm from, didn't have a hospital, so my parents had to drive to Lexington to the closest hospital. And then when I was very young, I lived in Jackson. Then we did move to Lexington, and then eventually to Louisville, where I lived until I was 28.
And when did you start listening to music? Like, what are your earliest memories of music?
Well, my dad's a musician, and my mom said that one of my first words was radio. I would beg as a baby to have the radio turned on. I I had a record player from the age of 3 or 4, so I mean it was really for whatever reason, I guess some people want to play with a soccer ball, and um, when they're kids, or a baseball, they're just naturally drawn to it. And for me, it was definitely music, always right off the bat. And I played music with my dad when I was little. It's just a
What did
big
you
part of
play?
our
Like piano,
guitar.
guitar?
Guitar. My dad's a guitar player, and I learned to play guitar with him so that we could play and sing together. And we did that when I was a kid for a lot of my young life.
And then, so I understand you were involved like in the rave scene in the '90s, right?
Yeah. Well, Kentucky had a big scene, in Ohio and Indiana were all areas where there were like
Mm-hmm.
really good parties that were pretty large, and I was super involved in that world right off the bat. I actually left high school to do it, and didn't go to college till I was sick of it.
So how old were you when you actually made it to college?
Let's see. I was 20,
Okay.
20, yeah, 20 years old.
Yeah.
Just almost old enough to drink. Not quite, but I was close.
um.
I
Okay.
mean,
So
no, I was 20. I was 21. I was
21.
21.
Okay.
I think.
Um.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was a little bit late. A little. I delayed it a little bit till I was ready, and then I went to the University of Louisville, and went into a special program there. So it actually took me a little longer to get done with school. I think like
Mm-hmm.
almost 6 years, instead of 4, because I did this additional um, program inside my major, so that I could do international field work and stuff like that.
I'm
Um,
sorry. What was that?
but
International fieldwork?
yeah, exactly.
What is that?
So I did that. Well, for me, the my my program, we were doing work uh, in the French Creole islands,
Oh,
um,
okay.
below. below, sort of near Haiti, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
around Haiti, that area,
Like
around the
social work?
topic of sort of, yeah, around the topic of colonization and language and um, religion and just interdisciplinary studies.
Is that something you still like when you think back to college? Does it still what you learned? Does it still impact you, or is it still useful for you?
Very much so. I I can say I loved being in college. I loved everything about it. I lived in the dorms for most of it. Um, into my 20s. Um, I, as you know, I come from college radio. I learned to DJ on college
Yeah.
radio. I worked in college radio from the second that I got to school to the time that I left. I loved field work. I loved reading. I loved um, research. To me, that having that intellectual challenge was really a huge good thing for me. And I'm still a big reader, and I devour news, and so that part of my life is not at all over. I I miss formal education. I wish that I was in a position to go back and get my master's. Um, I'm not even sure in what, but I wanted to be a lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
I was planning to go to law school
So if you
after
didn't
my
have your career
my.
doing music, that's what you probably would be doing.
I think so.
Yeah.
I wanted to be a lawyer, and maybe a speechwriter. I was very interested in that. Um, at the time that I was in college, um, we were getting ready to have another presidential race, and was very interested in working for the Democratic Party, and law seemed like a good way to go towards that. Um, and so that was my theoretical plan for what I was going to do when I got done with my bachelor's, which is in English. Um, but then I learned how to DJ, and when I got out of college, it just there was no real turning back. And somebody that I had known from dance music asked me to move to Chicago and work with them at a record label called Dust Tracks. And so I think I had about, oh, yeah, I think I had about 1 year after college where I just worked crappy jobs and whatever, maybe even less. And um, then the opportunity came to go to Chicago, and I was out of there. That was it.
Can I ask you about your college radio station? I looked it up a little bit. It was WLCU, right?
LCV,
LCV, and it's not.
WLCV 1390 AM.
Yeah.
It no longer exists.
Yeah. What was
It was a sort
what
of
was
a
it like
it
there?
was an AM. Well, WLCV was really awesome. Um, it's one tiny room. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, just the booth, and was located at the time in the Student Activity Center at U of L, and so you couldn't miss it. You would walk in to go to the dining hall, or any of the restaurants or the various services that they had in there, and you would walk past it. And so uh, I knew immediately I wanted to be on the radio.
Why? What drew you to that? Just the music, or is it something about the people there?
Yeah, just all. Also, I mean, I grew up in Lexington, Kentucky, which has such a great college radio station,
Mm-hmm.
WRFL
So you grew up listening to that
88.1.
station, right?
What's that?
So you grew up listening to that?
Oh yeah, college radio was a huge part of my young life.
Mm-hmm. What kind of
Um,
music would they play on the radio, on the college radio?
I grew up in the golden era of alternative college radio. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, Nirvana was big when I was in middle school on college radio before it became a thing in general. That kind of thing. I grew up going to WRFL shows at the Student Center at UK because some of them were all ages. Like I got to see my first big show that I ever went to was the Pixies when they were touring with Doolittle, and I was real into like Riot Girl stuff, and all that stuff was on the radio. But we also dance music was on the radio in Kentucky. Industrial was really big at the time. This was kind of when Nine Inch Nails was still an underground sensation, and
Yeah.
Ministry and Beat Manifesto, and but then all that stuff started to slowly fade into the kind of dance music that we listen to now. On this one particular show that they had, that was called the Beat Bash at the time,
Hmm.
and I would hear that. I would stay up and listen to that. But RFL was great. When I was in high school, I dated one of the DJs on RFL. I just it was such a big part of my young life. That I think I always romanticized college radio, and so
That's awesome.
when I got to U of L, of course, our station was not nearly nearly the powerhouse that WRFL was,
Yeah.
but we like to imagine that it was, and we really broadcast about 3 blocks from the school. It didn't go very far, but we treated it like it was a real station, and then streaming became a thing, and we could do that because U of L, everybody had a T1 connection at the time in your room, in your office, in the station. We had extremely high speed internet.
Oh wow.
Way before way before most people did. I mean, this is 1999, 2000, and so we could actually do streaming stuff, and you could listen through like Winamp and I sound like I'm talking about the dark ages, but then people started to listen in other countries, and it wasn't a big audience, but it was an audience, and that was cool. And but the main thing was just that. And also I have to say this: when I was a kid, I really loved the movie Pump Up the Volume with Christian Slater, where he had his own pirate radio station.
Yeah.
And I think I really romanticized radio because of that. So as it ended up, I had this radio station to which almost no one listened, but what it did become was a real social hub for a lot of the misfits on campus. Sure. And most importantly, it had turntables and headphones.
And that's how
and
you
records.
learned, right? That's how you learned to mix
initially.
initially?
It's totally how I learned. Yeah, I had my own records. I did own some records, but they had some records that were sent to us as promos, and
yeah, we get those too.
We would just exactly, yeah. So we would just put on a playlist or whatever, and put everything on automation, and then bring the turntables and mixer up on the audition channel, and sit in there and practice. And then we were lucky because Louisville had 2 really great record stores. So
really?
when I got
Lexington?
into the
Or Louisville?
Louisville, yeah, at U of L.
Oh wow.
One was called Ear Ecstasy, and one was called Better Days. And Better Days was a proper dance music record store.
Is it still around?
No. Oh, actually, you know what? I think they do have a second location now.
Oh, really?
On the west side of Louisville. I think
Okay.
they do still have a spot. But at the time, the location they had was in the Highlands, and they just had like tons of stuff. I mean, and you could go dig in the basement and find stuff that wasn't really even on sale, like be hidden under a couch or whatever in the back area where you weren't really supposed to go. Or and so between that and this place called Ear Ecstasy, which got, I think, much newer stuff, a little bit more breaking news. You kind of have the old stuff and the new stuff, and I had disposable income because I was on scholarship, and so I, didn't have any bills, had money from U of L and from grants and stuff, and so I took all my extra college money and spent it on records, which is why I have like 10,000 records
Oh
now.
my god. Oh my god.
It's like a whole floor of my house. But
That's crazy.
yeah.
You must have to store that
So
many records.
yeah, it's its own thing.
Yeah, I bet.
But yeah, so I learned to DJ on the air essentially, and it was a very special time. We didn't know how great it was. I look back at that time when I was 22, 23, and I lived at school with all my best friends and a lot of people who have remained my closest friends. Some are here and some are gone. But you know, 2 or 3 of those years were just really beautiful, lost summers, and that time when all we did was think about music and our homework to whatever degree we had to, and just figure out what it was that we cared about. And everything that happened at that time at WLCV has carried me for years, and I made a lot of my best friends, and I learned the trade that would become my life skill, my career, and I really miss it. I can say with genuine bittersweet feelings. There's a part of me that wishes I could. I'm not one to be very
like hyper sentimental.
Not really. Yeah, not about the past, but there were some wonderful, sweet things in that time that, boy, we had a lot of fun.
So you said you.
We did. I mean, for example, one Easter, we had the only keys to the station, and I can't remember who does the song. It's a song called "Let's Go Find the Cat," and it's just a completely ridiculous song. And one Easter, we locked up the station and put "Let's Go Find the Cat" on repeat for the entire weekend.
Oh my god.
And turned the speakers up in the Student Activity Center so that people had to listen to it. I urge you, when we get done here, to just Google the song. You'll find it.
No, I definitely will.
It's one of the most ridiculous songs ever. There was a lot of pranks. There was a band, a local band called the Hybrid Squirrels. Mm-hmm. All of U of L is obsessed with squirrels because we have white squirrels.
Okay, yeah.
Which
there's like a squirrel thing here too, actually, because they're
right.
very friendly. They don't run away.
Right. So like we have this little go-kart at LCV called the Squirrel Killer, and then there was a band called the Hybrid Squirrels that used to try to get us to play them all the time, and they would trick us and send us promos or do stuff to try to get on the air. And we had a rule that under no circumstances was anyone ever supposed to play the Hybrid Squirrels, and it became this war, a friendly war, but a war no less. We had these kids. They decided they were going to have a shock jock radio show, and which they were neither funny nor smart enough to pull it off. So it was like really, really deeply offensive
like
material, disturbing stuff, and we had to like fire them on the air.
Oh god.
Yeah, there were all kinds of adventures. People secretly sleeping in the building overnight. It was good times.
So you're from, I don't know how much time you have left. Maybe 5 or 10 more minutes.
Yep, that's fine.
Cool. So you're from Jackson and Kentucky. You moved to Chicago, and now you're obviously touring all over Europe. So where do you still consider home?
No one has ever asked me that. Um, Definitely Chicago. Kentucky feels a little weird to me now. It's been, since just after college that I've even lived there, and I'm almost 40 now. So,
Yeah. Is your family
um,
still in Kentucky?
my dad and my brother are,
Okay.
and my uncle. The rest of my family is spread out elsewhere, so I don't
Sure.
even have that much family there now.
Yeah.
Um, and the family that I'm mainly close with is all in Tennessee. So really, at this point, it's definitely Chicago for me. This is where my house is. Um, but I will say touring kind of changes everything. You start to feel a little decentered. Um, there are times where my suitcase feels like my house. um, you get less attached to place in general, but this is the first time I've had a long break at home since I started touring, and I will say definitely that Chicago has never felt more like home than it does now. Um, I was having some very human feelings in Smart Bar this weekend,
Yeah.
like really not wanting to leave and feeling distress at the idea of leaving Chicago again. But that time is coming, and I will have to go when it comes.
So why do you tour over Europe versus touring in the U.S.?
I tour in the U.S. as well.
Right.
I mean, I tour everywhere now.
Right. Right.
There are just the simple mathematics of it. There are more shows in Europe,
Yeah.
and um, but I'm done with that. Yeah, sorry, I'm in a restaurant. So the simple mathematics of it keep me in Europe primarily, but I will be doing a major American tour next fall. It'll be much larger than the last one, and then I'll be in Asia. I've
Oh,
just come
wow.
back from Africa. So
Because
we've definitely crossed out of the all Europe thing. It's pretty much global now, and those markets are really like I'm going to Mexico soon for a bunch of dates. So at this point, I'm kind of going everywhere.
do you find differences in terms of the crowds when you play the U.S. or places in Asia or Europe?
Yeah, even every city, even inside
Yeah.
Europe, is different. Little cultural differences, but then sometimes it's exactly the same. And you find that wherever you go, there are people that share experiences with you. Like I was just in Uganda, and you would think that would
Oh my
just be
God.
totally unlike anything I ever experienced, and it was, and then it wasn't.
Did
I mean, I
people know
met
you in
two of
Uganda?
totally,
Oh my
and
God,
that's
that's
really weird.
incredible.
Yeah, when I got there, they were like waiting for me with flowers.
No way.
It was very nice. Yeah, very nice. And I made two of the two of my incredibly dear friends there now, DJ Rachel and this woman named Melanie. We talk, every other day now. So I don't know. The world is much larger and much smaller than you could ever really fathom until you get launched out into it in this way. I mean, at this point, 9 months out of the year, I tour full time,
Hmm.
and that's a lot.
Is that
It's a lot.
exhausting?
Heck yeah.
I mean, I'm sure, right?
Yeah, I'm always tired.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I've never not been tired in my life, though. So I one of those people that just kind of constantly sleep is definitely easily my favorite activity,
Hmm.
and was before I ever toured. So now it's just it's like a drug. Definitely my favorite high.
Do you still look for new music? Are you still like going to record stores when you're in new
Oh
cities?
yeah, totally. Yeah, and plus people send me tons of music now, and
Sure.
to be honest, the biggest part of what I do is sort through stuff that people have sent me, because I get so much,
Yeah.
and that in and of itself is a job, a good job, but a job. It's kind of like having the record store sent to your inbox. So sorting that and organizing it and keeping track of it, that's a new skill that I'm developing, because it's very different than going to the record store. but I do go to the record store too. I mean, pretty much anywhere I will go.
So back to maybe just a few more questions, and I'll let you go back to eating or whatever you're doing.
Thanks. Yeah.
Back to Chicago. Is there something? I mean, you said it's home, but is there also something special about Chicago, in terms of the people or the vibe at Smart Bar and other places?
Chicago. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing like Smart Bar when it's good. It's really special, and I don't know. I think there's a little piece of Chicago that will always be the Chicago of my imagination.
Right.
I'm not from here, but I'm as much a part of it as anybody is, and I mean, it's a hostile environment, right? Like Chicago, we have a great tradition of, it's of hot dogs and haters, and I have even accepted that part of it. I mean, it's just.
What do you mean by that?
It's like funny to me now, in a way, the way that it's such a competitive city,
mm-hmm.
and people either love you or they hate you. And the good part about that is that it makes you okay with either one. It sort of immunizes you against outside opinions, I guess, if that makes sense. You just learn to trust yourself and do your thing. And when you do, the city will come up with you. We'll get behind you. But I think because of the competitiveness and the culture of the city, it makes you, it kind of, I don't know, just it immunizes you to the opinions of other people.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm, totally. In a good way.
Okay.
And you just kind of do your thing. And I have such great friends here. I love this city. I love Smart Bar. I love the way the club is when it opens and there's nobody there yet. I love everything about playing in Smart Bar. I love it more now than I ever did. Well, there's a feeling when you come in and they're cutting up all the limes and it smells so good. And, they're breaking out all the olives and cherries and limes and cutting up all the glassware and stuff. The ritual of it. I love the staff. I've been at the club for a long time now, and that relationship with everybody from the owners to the family of the owner, who's become, like my family, to management, Lenny, is amazing, to all the bartenders and other DJs and residents. I mean, I've said this before, I'll say it again. The best day on the road, you couldn't beat the connection that you feel with the people you work with on the worst day at Smart Bar.
Yeah.
And so I really miss that when I'm gone. It's really safe for me and to explore and try new things. And it's great. It's great.
Okay. Well, I won't take up any more of your time.
Hey, thanks for your call, and I appreciate it. I'm glad you had a good time this weekend. And
yeah,
hang in there and get everything you can out of college radio while you're there.
Thank you. I'll be back on.
It's the best thing in the whole world.
I'll be back on to see Nina Kravitz, and I'll be back to see you for your honor.
Great.
I'm so excited for it.
Okay, good. I'll be glad to see you.
Oh, can I ask one small favor?
Yep.
Can I ask you to do an air call for us? Like, this is the Black Madonna.
Sure.
You're listening to WIUX LP Bloomington. Something like that. You can do it however you want.
WIUX. I'm sorry, what's the last part?
WIUX LP Bloomington.
LP Bloomington. This is the Black Madonna, and you're listening to WIUX LP Bloomington.
I can definitely tell you've been in radio. All right. you got the radio voice.
Later. Bye-bye.
All right,
I
thank
sure
you.
do. Oh, you ought to really hear me turn it on. I tell you what.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Someday I'll go back to radio.
Okay.
All right. Well, have a great day.
Looking forward to it.
Thanks a lot. Bye bye.
You too. Bye bye.